Everyone is racist.
Everyone is racist.
Everyone is racist.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the case may be in this bright, wonderful world we live in. It is the Aloha Hour, and once again, I am your host, Mike S. Miller, here with my lovely it's too far, backdrop, Game of Thrones backdrop. It's one of my old convention stands. Get to bed. Unbelievable. Once again, with me here tonight, the Silver Fox, the gracious and glorious Edwin Boy.
I like that backdrop, man.
Thank you.
The backdrop could.
I'll just nice. Get out of the way so you can.
Well, we'll pause the show while I take in the scenery. Yeah, that's cool.
I was looking. I have a bigger backdrop. I wanted to just put over my wall so you don't see all that crap. I don't know where it is. I was looking for it the other night, but I'll have to do some more digging. Aloha, chat. Mike will be here once he's done with his fish sticks. I guess there have been some people here waiting for a little bit. We were chatting off the air. Backdrop looks nice. Thank you. JK racist? How? I don't know. Do you want to just jump right into this?
Yeah, we can. Let me pull that article back up again because I think everything is just from now on. Everything is just horrible all the time. I guess is how it works.
Everything is racist, my friend. Everything is racist.
I mean, now I click the button. I feel like art now whenever I say
push this button over here.
Well, let's see. Google, are you going to cooperate?
When y'all are ready to go, Asian snakes are racist.
Probably.
Oh my goodness. I guess the only way it couldn't have been racist is by casting a straight white male.
It's getting that way. It's going to be kind of nuts, though.
Yeah, if you cast any kind of a bad guy at all, I think it's as any kind of a minority of any kind. Clearly, you're a racist.
This is interesting. It looks like when I go to share something, just out of interest here, if it was open before I open the Hangouts, then it gets weird. Because I try not to share my whole screen, because if I do that, then it kind of you
okay,
give away.
I'll lock it on me. You get it up on the screen, and when you're ready, I'll lock it on you.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Also, muggle is dehumanizing speech. Actually, muggle is...
Well, that was the point, yeah?
Humanizing speech, isn't it?
Oh, I guess.
All right, you ready?
No, but, yeah, all right, so help me out here. There's a lot of stuff that is human behavior that's pretty horrible. I mean, while we may not like it, Nazis were human. The communists were human. There was all kinds of, abortion. We're not upset about. We're not upset about
demonetizing.
Yeah. You get what? Yeah. Sorry, but my point is like all this horrible stuff. all this horrible stuff though is human behavior.
Oh yeah, yeah. Humans are wonderful and terrible.
All right, are you seeing it?
Yeah. You're good.
All right, so this is on the high quality Yahoo Entertainment.
Yahoo!
J.K. Rowling has been accused of racism over the characterization of, I've always said this, Nagini.
Yeah.
In Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. The Harry Potter author and screenwriter is receiving the backlash because people are upset that Claudia Kim is playing a character who in the original books and film series was subservient to Lord Voldemort and his pet. So they're upset. They're so upset about racism that they're upset that this Claudia Kim, is she Asian American or what is her background?
Kim's Korean, so
Oh,
I don't know if she's a Korean or Korean American.
Yeah, but they're upset that this person of,
or maybe she's English or from England. I don't know.
Could be.
Never heard of it.
I guess they're so upset that it's so racist for her to get a big payday in a Harry Potter movie.
How dare she?
Yeah. Some fans believe that by now making Nagini originally a woman rather than just a snake, it perpetuates an image of women of color being oppressed by white men.
Okay. Expert Edwin, Nagini was originally a woman? Or in the books, she's a snake?
She's that now making, okay, she was this is a new idea as far as I can remember from all the books. When they're talking about her, she was always a snake, a familiar, if you will.
Okay.
And so this is kind of a
but this is a prequel, so it's possible they're giving her origin as an actual woman who was maybe by the end of the movie turned into a snake.
Turned into a snake, yeah. And so, all throughout history, people have done horrible stuff to other tribes, their own people. It just happens.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. So here's some Twitters. Ellen Comey, General O. Is this that very nice woman who went to the New York Times, or is she just Ellen O? She's got a big old verified
idea.
Ellen O, last name O-H. It's okay to love problematic things. I'll be the first to say that the Harry Potter series made me want to write children's books. But let's also talk about the problems. This feels like a problem.
Everything is racist.
I feel like this is the problem when white people want to diversify and don't actually ask POC how to do so. They don't make person of color. They don't make the connection between making Nagini an Asian woman who later on is the pet of a white man. Now, Nagini is maybe too simple of a word because Nagini is actually a Horcrux.
A familiar.
Beyond a familiar.
What is a Horcrux?
A Horcrux, so he carves up Voldemort. The dynamic here is through his murders and through some occult black magic. He carves up little pieces of his souls, invest it into these different items, things, and in this case, Nagini. And as long as his essence is divided up amongst these different things, he can't die.
Oh, right. Okay, now I'm reminded now.
So I'm going to say it right now. That crap is racist.
Everything is racist. Sorry, I was going to keep saying.
All right, so I guess maybe him putting his soul is metaphor for like.
So when he was on the back of the head of that one teacher, right?
Yeah.
But because that guy was white, that wasn't racist.
It is. Man, this is a disordered thought pattern.
Yeah, it's pretty left wing, if that's what you mean.
Oh, excuse me. Let's see what other good stuff we get here. This is Jessie G. Dead God Jess. Okay, well, she sounds like she might have some insights. Reasons to get a hashtag sensitivity reader. So someone can tell you, revealing that the pet of the wizard Nazi is actually a cursed Asian woman is racist before it gets put into a movie.
Oh my gosh, these guys just want to be offended for other people.
All right, and this is now we've got Anesha Sengupta. Apparently, J.K. Rowling decided that Nagini is a Korean woman,
I read ahead.
and I am so sad so much of my childhood was wasted on such an unsurprisingly racist white woman. Well, let's see, here we go. Broke Asian women as love interest for white male protagonist. Woke Asian women brainwashed, transfigured into a giant snake, and kept as a pet slave for 60 years by white male antagonist, then decapitated by a teenager. oh. Oh man. All right, what is this? Okay, this is going to be the last thing I say on this. I just want to say I'm impressed with J.K. Rowling. It takes a lot of confidence to go 2 for 2 on racist Asian stereotypes. Cho Chang being the demure, gentle flower, and Nagini being the sexually attractive dragon lady.
Oh no. Okay. I think we can wrap.
Yeah. Oh my god, man.
All right, you can pop out of that anytime you want. Oh.
Dude, people are.
What is it? What is it like for people who just need to constantly find some reason to be offended for other people? This virtual signaling addiction, it's like some sort of a rot in the brain. I can't even comprehend it.
All right. Well, all right. So we know what this is. Now you're probably tempted to call this cultural Marxism. Don't do that because apparently that is a dog whistle to the alt right.
Yes, this is also racism because everything's racist.
So we can use an older term, and this is the Marxist dialectic, right? And the Marxist dialectic is absolutely not a dog whistle to anything. And the Marxist dialectic has a built-in defense mechanism. And the built-in defense mechanism is that criticism of the Marxist dialectic itself is in fact racism, or some sort of, I guess before it would have been exploitation of the proletariat.
Yeah.
But now since Marxism was exported from, primarily Austro-Hungarians and Slavs to various Asians and Hispanics and various peoples of the world. It is no longer just class, but it is now race and social status and so forth. But it's the same dynamic, right? And it's designed to, it's the mind virus, and it poisons every conversation. It poisons and interferes with every normal human relationship.
Yeah.
Because now you have to see everything through this fun house where you don't see through a fun house mirror, but you see everything through this distorted lens. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's done on purpose. It's done on purpose. All this intersectionality. Intersectionality should be called like vivisectionality because it splits everything up into these little slivers and makes everybody hate each other.
Yeah, it just feeds this never-ending cycle of just division and anger and I get so tired of it. Honest to God, I do. I get so tired of it.
You see the nonsense here. You cast this attractive young woman as this kind of super cool monster, right? And so you create some backstory, you fill in for some of J.K. Rowling's nonsense because a lot of Harry Potter was nonsense anyway. I mean, J.K. Rowling is like Gail Simone who got lucky. Let's be honest. Right?
Hey, you know what? I'm all for her being successful. That's
yeah. But I mean, it's not like there's anything if you actually read through that with a critical eye. it's all nonsense. Yeah, but it is well targeted nonsense,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was written in the right time.
Hey,
Bef-
would that we could be so lucky.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But a lot of it was timing. Like you couldn't write Harry Potter today. Well, one, people don't read anymore, so it wouldn't work. But um, it was written at the right time. It was good fan service and had a lot of things going for it.
Yeah,
But there's nothing deep in there.
it's fun fluff.
Nothing. Yeah, it's fluff.
Yeah. Django Manco for $2. They'd eat their own for a signal boost. Isn't it true?
Well, I think that's where they're at. They're going to be. I'm real interested because it seems like some of these companies like Marvel and DC are doubling down on this stuff. And you, sorry to dive into Comicsgate here, but like if a lot of us walk away and now they're actually left with their core audience, and nobody's yelling at them, and nobody's we don't give them a target. They're used to fighting people, and they're used to checking somebody's privilege, so they're going to have to start self cannibalizing. I'm just saying, there's a lot of
I totally agree.
there's a lot of chunky white men and white women working at Marvel that are going to have to lose their jobs to make things. It doesn't matter that they're good progressives; they're still white. I'm looking at you, Tom Brevoort. CB Sabolsky. CB Sabolsky, he wrote his own Asian backstory. He's like a reverse Nagini.
He'll have to go back to using that pseudonym to get work.
Yeah, he was the rather than the Asian lady being turned into the snake, he was the
Asian lady.
Yeah, I don't know. He ate the Asian lady. I don't know what happened. It was the story's kind of muddled.
It's tall. Yeah, I just can't. I don't know. I don't get it. It scares me. Can you stop making all that noise? That would be nice. Thank you. It scares me that they spread this stuff like in our schools, unhalted, unfettered, just feeding this kind of a mentality into our kids. And, especially in university and whatnot. And, the kids go. My daughter's going to a school. I think she's got some relatively leftist teachers. Just based on the stuff I'm hearing from her. But, she's, I don't want to say she's being indoctrinated, but she's being, influenced because these are people she spends all day with. Well, what is it when you go off to college and you're not coming home to your parents at night who might be able to set you straight on what your teachers are telling you, but you're there nonstop for 9 months out of the year, right? From one Marxist extremist teacher to the next, just being fed this stuff and spending all these time with them, being influenced, being mentored into this insanity, and then you come out hating everybody and yourself, especially if you're a white college student, you come out hating yourself. It's so destructive to
it's so weird now. It's so weird because I listen to some of these progressives talk, some of these 25 to 45-year-old white progressives, white urbanite progressives, and they almost seem anti-life.
right.
Like they seem like they feel like it's a crime that their ancestors ever existed. And it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre because, with the exception of maybe just a couple of isolated tribes here and there, all this behavior that we look back and we lament was kind of universally engaged in. If you look at the stuff like some of your ancestors were doing to the Koreans, and vice versa, or to the Chinese, and vice versa. I mean, that was some pretty horrible stuff. I think there was just a dust up. I think today in the UN, there was just a dust up between some Japanese and Korean delegates over comfort women. Are you familiar with comfort women?
Comfort women?
Comfort women were Korean women who were essentially forced to serve as prostitutes for the Japanese army, some of the occupying army. Yeah. So, and this is not to pick on the Japanese, but what I mean is every single culture, man, every single culture has done some pretty horrible stuff.
Yeah.
Like during the transatlantic slave trade, most of the slaves were actually taken to Brazil. If you go far enough back,
94% of the slave trade was to Central and South America and the Caribbean. Only 6% of the slaves ever made it to America.
Yeah, yeah. And Irish people essentially served as slaves too, and not just indentured servants, but as slaves. But in the tropical and the subtropical regions, they were actually considered to have less value than the African slaves.
Oh, they were considered to have less value in the States as well. And they actually made it illegal to breed, because what they were doing is they're taking the more expensive, higher valued African slaves and breeding them with the Irish slaves. That's where the term mulatto comes from. Yeah. That's an Irish black African mix. And they actually made it illegal because they were trying to get more African slaves by breeding them with the cheaper stock, the Irish.
Yep.
And they made it illegal because they were hurting the African slave trade.
Right. And all kinds of stuff that people omit from history. Like we talk about the Crusades, and people think of like the Crusades as like this aggressive war, right? So that white men can go claim Jerusalem for Christendom, right? But I don't even know that people learn. I don't even know now if people learn that like that the sultans and the caliphates actually. I mean, when Islam burst out of the Arabian Peninsula, within only like 20 or 30 years, man, they had pushed up into Europe. Like it was just like into Vienna. Spain, most of Spain was dominated. It was.
Yeah, that wasn't 20 or 30 years. That took a long time.
Well, yeah. But what I mean is within 20 or 30 years, if you look at a map of how fast it spread, my point is you can go throughout history and even recent history and see how everybody has done some pretty horrible stuff. I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
Almost nobody is exempt from that. And so.
Yeah, even if you take the worst case example, you take the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition under Ferdinand. Was it Ferdinand?
Mm-hmm.
And Isabella. It was terrible, right? And I do not excuse it in the slightest. But why did Ferdinand and Isabella eject all of the Jews and Muslims from Spain? Do you know?
Well, what is your version of the story?
Well, they had just suffered 400 years of Ottoman domination. The Muslims had taken over Spain for 400 years. They finally fought them back, and for Catholicism, for Christianity, and thus they kicked out everyone who wasn't a Catholic. And a lot of the Jews stayed and quote unquote converted to Catholicism to stay.
Yeah. But even still, I think in a lot of instances they were able to maintain, traditions and so forth. Well, was that called?
Yeah, but I'm just saying it was a backlash, and it was
that Marranos?
Uh,
What was the term for somebody who on their face converted but secretly
oh, right.
maintained their was it?
Is it Murano? I always think of glass, Murano
I'm not,
glass
I'm
from
not sure.
Italy, but it's
Yeah.
something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, and they say that Christopher Columbus was actually
Oh
a
yeah.
secret Jew, and that's why he left. He wasn't actually going to look for Asia. He was looking for a safe homeland for the Jews, which America became, oddly enough.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Marranos, yeah, they're saying Marranos.
All right, and the point behind this is not to say, oh, these people were bad or these people were bad. It is to put behavior in context. And behavior in context is that for a lot of human history, human life was worth very little. Um, the rights of man were significantly limited, and slavery and human oppression was the rule, was the norm, was not the exception.
That is correct. Yep.
But now
You got to
we
stop
put
drinking at the same time, Edwin.
oh sorry. Now we put everything through this. Y'all are too serious and depressing. Well, it is a little bit depressing. It is a little bit depressing, and let's see if we can make it worse. Let's see if we can make it worse.
Humanity has been a history of pain and death and torture and slavery and oppression and people just treating each other terribly. Um, and look where we are in America. Look where where Western culture has brought us. It's brought us to a place where we're complaining because the poorest among us, don't have air conditioning?
Well,
Is this where we've come? We are so spoiled that this
here's
is
what I was going to get at. Here's where I was going to get at. America is now our great republic is now made up of very diverse peoples, right? Look at our little family here in Hawaii is incredibly diverse. Your family right there, incredibly diverse. You yourself, you've got like you are like the Baskin Robbins of ethnicities, all embodied in one person.
Yep.
All right. So America is very diverse. Just within a couple of generations, the ethnic distribution of the United States has changed very significantly. Now, if we are going to be ethnically diverse, we must have some commonalities. We must be able to talk to each other. We must be able to relate to each other. This is one of the reasons why I kind of say that, that we need our common popular entertainment. But so if you take diverse peoples, and then at the same time, if in every single institution of learning, right, whether it be grade school, middle school, and then university, you're pushing this intersectionality, you're pushing this Marxist dialectic. You're saying that there's some sort of that these people have grievances against these people and that they can never be effectively addressed, and that this is systemic, some sort of built-in racist. Like if everything's racist, we're going to tear our country apart. We're going to tear it. This intersectional cultural Marxism, this Marxist dialect is a recipe is a recipe for the collapse of our civilization. It is the recipe for ethnic warfare, for ethnic cleansing, for to turn neighbor against neighbor. Right?
Yeah. How did Jesus put it? A house divided amongst itself cannot stand.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the tool they're using to try to tear us down.
Yeah, yeah. So you laugh about some of this stuff, but it poisons every single little interaction, right? So now we can't even sit down and watch some goofy movie by some lady, right? By Gail Simone's English cousin.
Yeah.
We can't even watch some goofy movie and all sit down and just kind of, oh, okay, some Harry Potter. You know, we know it's going to be cheesy. Somebody's going to, but it has to be
It's
now. It has to be
really
racist.
about freaking magic, dancing snakes and goblins and people waving wands around speaking Latin and turning things into flowers. What the hell? Who cares if there's a...
Yeah, and you talk about, you talk about what happens when these kids go off to college, right?
Yeah.
Well, we know from psychological studies that if you put people together, like the pressing power of conformity, right, to be able to conform to some sort of group norm, it is very powerful, right? It
Yeah.
is very powerful. And so if you remove someone from some other essence and there's no contrasting voice, right? If there's no contrasting voice, and now you're not going to go to a university and you're not going to get like one class from a Marxist and one class from like an Ayn Rand objectivist and one class from a classic conservative. 95% of your faculty is going to be going to be outright
Yeah.
Marxist.
That's probably a low ball. Your math teacher might be,
Yeah.
because your economics
Maybe.
teacher's not going to be. They're going to get there. You're going to get in there, and they're going to shove freaking Keynesian economics down your throat until you think that wealth redistribution is how you build an economy.
So do you think collectively will interesting I say collectively, but do you think collectively that the people of the United States will be able to reject these hate your neighbor messages before it's too late? Or do you
Well,
think
I
we're too
mean,
far down?
I think it's thirds, right? A third are going to be on the left, a third are going to be on the right, a third are going to be in the middle. It's just always going to be like that. I love this community that we have because these are the people, and yet, like in your poll today, there are left-wing people here, there are centrist people here, there are conservative people here, there are people who don't care about politics at all. But this is the community that looks at this stuff and thinks, this is so stupid. Freaking have a sense of humor. Everything isn't racist. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. And this is our community. And this is why I enjoy coming here and talking to these people every day. I mean, aside from the occasional flare-ups and the internal fighting and whatnot, 99% of the time, we are just all here having a great time and talking about all these diverse different topics. And even when we disagree, we're still, we're kind about it. And if the world could be like the Comicsgate community, everything would be awesome.
Yeah, all right. So talking about my poll, I was really surprised. I was really surprised to see that many.
Give us the latest numbers, Edwin.
All right, let me get back to that. Let's see.
So for those who don't know, if you go on Twitter, Edwin posted a poll asking Comicsgate members, community members, where they stand politically. One is relatively agnostic. One is conservative. One is, was it left-leaning?
Let's see. Hang on. I'll pull it up right now.
Okay. Let me share your screen. Look at that. 40% right, 40% centrist, which is funny because in our culture, I believe people who say that they're centrist are actually a little left-leaning because of our mainstream media makes people think that way. So I think that's probably about 40% right, 40 or more percent left-leaning.
Yeah, but probably close to the center, close to whatever the center is now.
Yeah.
And then 14% apolitical.
Right. And most of us get along, except for, if it's some sort of a interpersonal argument or whatnot. We pretty much all get along. We don't even have to agree with each other. We can still like each other. What a weird world we live in.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised though. I figured just because based on a lot of my own audience, because I'm kind of your older comics uncle, I just assumed it might be a little bit more conservative. But that's very interesting. It's very interesting, and this should be informative because there's some people who want to be leaders in Comicsgate, and some of them were trying to push this narrative that Comicsgate is a right wing political movement.
Right.
I don't see the composition of Comicsgate is probably a bit more conservative than the general population, right? But I don't see the basis here. If you look at 40 people, 40% are calling themselves centrist, and then you add in apolitical and left, you get 60% that are not describing themselves as on the right.
And that is a huge sample. 1,163 votes.
Yeah.
That's a huge sample. Yeah, I think the right wing, I will grant that most, not all, because I know a couple of the creators are not right wing, but most of the creators who are right wing are people who've been driven out of the left wing dominated industry. Myself and Ethan and Mitch, and obviously Art hasn't been driven out. Can you turn it down? Why don't you put headphones on? Huh? I know I always say it because they can hear it. So yeah.
Bootsy says 14 believe in the Hegelian dialectic. That's funny. Yeah, and I understand a lot of those categories where some of these labels they're not as useful as they used to be. But it was kind of interesting. It was kind of interesting to see these broad brush strokes, and hopefully creators or people who are trying to talk to or address Comicsgate will kind of acknowledge the diversity within Comicsgate and understand you need to you shouldn't be trying to project onto Comicsgate the people. You shouldn't be trying to project onto them. You should try and determine where they're at and figure out how to meet them there where they're at, rather than trying to make them part of some particular agenda.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
No worries. No worries. Mm-hmm. Medium Giant says Mike lays down.
I don't want to wear the headphones over there.
My name is Elijah, and I'm too cool for school, man.
I probably sound better now, though. Right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can.
Okay, good. Test 1, 2. Is this thing on?
It's on.
All right.
It's on. Yep.
Yeah. I gotta get those other headphones. These ones aren't. I was going with the fabric instead of the faux leather. Anyways, Elijah seems like a pretty chill dude. Yeah. Teenagers, am I right?
Yeah, but where I was going with that though is, I think people should look at where Comicsgate is, because Comicsgate is a nice little cross section of fandom.
Yeah.
It is probably much further to the right than the people that Marvel and DC are writing comic books for right now, which is probably why there's so much disconnect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you looked, I mean, leftist was actually the smallest sliver of that. And so, like for Marvel, if they're putting everything through this progressive filter, Marvel is badly out of phase with the people in Comicsgate, right?
Yeah, I think Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to have left-leaning people
Yeah, I am
in
too.
this space, because I do want a well-rounded audience, and I do want well-rounded books coming out of the creators. But I'm not surprised that it is a smaller sliver, because when you keep going left, I mean, you know, it's a gradation, right?
Yeah.
So you have centrist, center left, left, and then you fall off the cliff and you become an SJW, and then you think all of this crazy stuff they have been selling is legitimate and true. And I don't know, guys, just be careful you don't fall off that cliff. If you're we'll throw you a lifeline from the right and just kind of hold you.
Your son may still have to turn it down just a little bit. It's
Turn
still
it down,
picking it up,
Elijah. It's still
picking up kind of heavy.
Elijah, you hear me? Turn it down.
Oh, and I think
Then put the headphones on, Elijah. Put them on.
Medium Giant.
Now.
Medium Giant. Medium Giant says, "I'm a lefty. Please don't hate." Medium.
We don't hate you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Unless people are like malicious with their politics, that's the whole point. I believe most of us can get along because you know, people. One, why are you allowing? Why is anyone allowing a a political football team, a political corporation that exists to propagate the interest of just a few people to define your existence? It should be the other way around, right? It should be the other way around, and it doesn't really work like that because both of the major two political parties essentially have a pyramid-like structure, right, where a few people at the top are kind of dictating to everybody else and determining what will be talked about and what the platforms will be. But even given that, most Americans, probably for the most part, still, still, even today, I would say we probably still share about 80% of our opinions. Now, I know there's, people that are very hard right or hard left. They may be, way far out of contact or out of alignment with the rest of America. But most of us still share more that we have in common than what separates us.
Well, I think what happens is you get these people who are using political positioning as political footballs, because you can take two people who are diametrically opposed in terms of politics or policy, have them sit down, if they're men of good conscience or women of good conscience, and agree to the principle of a thing. Find the agreement in the principle of an argument. Say it's abortion, right? Say
Right.
the principle that we're both striving for on the left and the right, the pro-choice, the pro-life. If you're not a psychotic, right? If you're not
Right.
wearing, tell me about your abortion t-shirts, but you're just, you believe in a woman's right to choose, but you're a principled, reasonable human being, you can both agree that the goal is the reduction of abortions, right? So if you can agree to that and you can sit down and come to agreements, you could get stuff done. But that's not how it works. Not in politics. Not in politics, not on talk radio, not on CNN, not in the media. It's taking the extremes, raising millions of dollars to fight this battle, keeping this political football in play until the end of time, because that's how people stay in power.
Yep.
All of this stuff can be solved. It just never will be.
It can, and this is sometimes why I consume when I consume news now. I tend to read it, tend to go to specific sources, and then I'll correlate it. I tend to watch very little news. Even people like I've got this mug here, and in this mug came from essentially a troll. And so there's people on the right and left. Everybody that wants to promulgate their celebrity, right? That wants to become celebrity. You can. There's different ways you can do it. One is this slog where you just try and keep improving your product, right? You become more entertaining. You constantly try and find fresh and relevant material. You get to know your audience, right? And you get engagement with your audience, and you get this slow organic growth. Now, the cool thing about this is these people will stay with you for a long time.
Yeah.
The alternative to this, and I see people doing this on Twitter, and I won't name any names, but you pick out these particularly divisive topics, right? And you try and provoke people. You try and provoke people. Even Miss Blue Hair does this. Miss Blue Hair does this in particular. And you try and provoke people. And so what you're looking for is you're looking to inflame people's passions, right? You're trying to get them back here at the base of the brain. You're trying to get some adrenaline going. You're trying to get a dopamine hit, trying to get people worked up, right?
Yep.
And this is the mechanism that a lot of people will use to build their audiences, because people will tune in to some of these people, even people I like or have liked in the past. Some of these radio pundits or kind of internet radio pundits, uh, they get people in these heightened emotional states, and people get addicted to that. Well, the problem is you start buying into these false dichotomies, right? You start buying into the us and them dichotomies. You start buying into one particular side actually has an answer and the other side is wrong, when in reality both sides may have very stupid positions. But you see it over. I see people. I'm not talking. I'm not talking about. I don't want to name any names. It's not any of our friends, but I can see people constantly trying to rile people up in these provocation, escalation loops, right? Get people in these loops, and then they come back in with some, dunking on particular people or dunking on particular ideas, getting people riled up, and then scaffolding off that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and that's not to say it's not to say that I'm a moderate. I'm certainly no moderate. I am a far right with strong libertarian leanings,
mhm.
Christian conservative, but I'm a pragmatist. And maybe it's because my dad was an engineer. I see wanting to create solutions that will work over solutions that suit my ideals. If an ideal, like, I mean, you take the abortion argument. I've mentioned it on here before. My solution, if I had the ability to just change law, my solution for the abortion argument would not be to make abortion illegal tomorrow, right? Even though I am very, very staunchly pro-life, that's not a pragmatic solution to ending abortion in America. The education of our young ladies in particular to know, because so many of these young girls think they're going in and getting rid of a clump of cells, right? They have no idea what they're doing, because no one, certainly not Planned Parenthood or these abortionists, are telling them what they are doing to their unborn children, right? But it requires education. The more we educate them about what that life is inside that's growing inside them, the less likely they are to terminate that child.
Yeah.
Whereas in Brazil, it is illegal, and they have more abortions than we do. with a smaller population.
Yeah, and there is some weird
That's
dynamics.
that's me being a right-wing pragmatist. And I think that's what we need more of, is pragmatism, you know?
Well, I am right wing myself, obviously Christian. You know, I don't dance around my faith, and I'm not a cultural Christian or an allegorical Christian.
Right.
Um, but I don't believe in authoritarianism, meaning I don't believe I should be trying to seek out the use of government force to impose my version of reality or my ideal government on you, your family, or anybody else's family. The government force, the application of government force should be restricted to the bare minimum needed to have a healthy society.
Yeah.
But it's weird days, man, and you can see like I guess maybe it's an attempt to normalize it, but like last year I remember like people like celebrating like getting an abortion, and that one woman like singing about it or something. And the weirdest thing is looking at like some of the political advocates for it. You see like these women who just seem to be like so passionate and angry about it, and you look at them and they're all, you know, 10 or 20 years past the point of even being able to become pregnant, and they look bitter and distraught, and they're so passionate about making certain that abortion is like the first and last choice for young women. It is there's something that's anti-life about it, right? There's
Yeah.
something that's anti-life about it. It's not just about having this option,
No,
this unfortunate, undesirable option, but there's something about it that is very
those
anti-life.
are the people you can't reason with, though. Those aren't the people who would come to the table and try to come up with a reasonable solution to minimize abortion. If you're sitting there touting abortion and saying, "Gosh, I wish I had had an abortion," it's like, no, you're lost, and that's a spiritual thing, man. You're just so lost.
But it's interesting is the birth rates for atheist agnostics in some of these other populations are for these far leftists, at least in the United States, are much lower than the birth rates of the religious populations. So given another generation or two, unless we're all put into re-education camps.
Universities are for.
Yeah,
They know exactly what you just said. They know that they are the ones who are having one or less child per couple. And so the only way they can procreate is by brainwashing the children of those of us who are procreating.
Yeah.
And that's their whole goal. That's their whole plan. They want to take over our youth by brainwashing them.
Yeah. And I told you this before. I looked up this study, and one of the most closest correlations with fertility rate is like the frequency of religious service attendance. And so
Isn't that what they called you, an alt-right Nazi?
Yeah. Well, they had to pick out the middle because I said at the end, you know, and as you're going to church all that often, you know, let's hope you get the gospel and you get that good love your neighbor message. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm shocked that my misogyny message wasn't clipped out of the show last night.
Oh, they didn't get you for misogyny?
They didn't clip out my misogyny gag. That sounded a bit crazy, Mike. Says Kurt B. War. What sounded a bit crazy? Specify. Why did page 45 come out? It came out like this. Blammo.
Hey guys, looking good, man.
Blam. Here, let me. I know you can see it better now than you could during the stream I was actually shooting it on, probably.
Yeah.
How bizarre.
Yeah, that's looking better.
Yeah, here's the first panel. Yoink. So 45 in the can, 3 to go. Ordered the dog tags today.
Nice.
Have been talking to a manufacturer about making cardboard mailers instead of. I think the ones that what's his face are ordering might be ordering from a retail outlet. So if I can order them directly from a cardboard manufacturer, then I might be able to save everybody in Comicsgate a significant amount of money.
Oh, very good. Hey, I was thinking about something today.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you and your peers, particularly as people start going back to the well for a second time, need to build in an option or think about this in a whole lot more detail about a planned point where these books get into comic book stores at a reasonable price point. And we gotta figure that out. We gotta figure it out soon. Because it's
I don't know if soon is necessary. I want to build up a catalog first. I mean, maybe after I'm done with the entirety of the first Lone Star story, we can approach Alterna or some other outlet to get. I mean, I like Alterna's thing, and if we could break it up into a 6-issue miniseries or something, and then have those go out at that low price point, that'd be cool with me. But I would want to make sure everything's done in a particular story arc before going there.
well,
Oh,
I see what you're saying.
yeah.
I think all right, here's the reason I say that is that people want to see this stuff at stores, and there's a lot of people that would pick this stuff up in stores.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people willing to be pioneers, but even the pioneers want to see this stuff percolating out into the wider world. They want to see a version of it, maybe not their premium version, but they want to see a version of it. Um,
Yeah,
they want to see
absolutely,
a
man. I
version of it
want
in
to get.
comic stores.
I want to get. That's why I like, Samedi. That's that getting them out in newsprint, getting them out at a cheap price point, so we could get them to as many people as possible uh, in the space. You're hearing okay?
Hang on one second.
What the hell is that?
Oh, sorry.
The hell is that?
I don't know. I sat on my phone and somebody's tweet came up, I guess, and was playing something. Oh my god, that was horrible. Somebody was going at it. But yeah, I've been talking to a lot of people. Who would who would pick up this stuff in the stores. They want to buy it. They want to buy it in the stores. So
Oh,
we need to get.
I totally understand. It's going to take time. I mean, technically, well, I mean, I want to do it as soon as possible, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, well, here's the first 2 issues. Now you have to wait so many months until issue 3.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that when we do that, they can come out bam, 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 bam in a row, right? Obviously, I could do that with 6 Gun Samurai right now, but
yeah,
I'd want to get the trade out first. So
yeah, but I think a lot of people want 2 things out of their money. They want to see, they want the entertainment first and foremost, and then some people want to see this stuff affecting the wider world around them and beyond me. Every day I try and get outside of my own ideas and listen to other people and hear what they're saying. I think on the retail packs, I was talking to Peter Samedi about this too. On the retail packs, the way to do that might be to to lower the price of each unit, but require more units, if that makes sense. So that way the retailers could sell it at a price where it would actually walk out of the store, but they would have to buy at least, enough units so it wasn't like a cheaper method of acquiring one of these tires.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
So,
and then there would need to be like a delay, like a 2-month delay or something like that. Got to figure that out. Or maybe the retail sales would go on later. So might have to figure that piece out. But yeah, I think this is important. I think this is important, and I think this is important as people go into people start going to the well the second and third time with some of these projects, right?
yeah, no, I agree. I don't
Yeah.
have an argument there. I just don't want to. I don't want to circumvent or make the individual supporter on Indiegogo feel like they could have gotten the same thing at their local comic shop for cheaper.
Right.
I don't want it to feel like they got ripped off ever. I want them to feel like they have a unique opportunity to get a unique product. And if a retail store wants to carry that product, I'll give it to them at a wholesale price, but I don't want to give it to them at a price where someone else could walk in there and get it for half the price that someone on Indiegogo did, because that's not fair to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Comic Book Bob says there are some people overseas who want to order but can't due to cost. Have you guys thought about some kind of point of contact in those markets to offset shipping costs? Well, Comic Book Bob, my next Indiegogo, I plan to offer multiple books. I plan to offer Nuclear Family, Lone Star 2, and Six Gun Samurai, and Lone Star 1. I'm going to overprint Lone Star 1. So if people overseas want to save on shipping and pick up those 4 books for the shipping cost of one product, that's a good way to save, because I'm only charging $15 for overseas shipping. And if you're spreading that across 4 books, that's nothing. Plus, if you're buying all 4 books, you get another discount on top of that. So, yeah, this next Indiegogo is going to be an interesting experiment in sort of mass marketing the product.
You guys have different ideas. Well, this is going to be interesting anyway, just because of the threefold, right? Lone Star, the Nuclear Family, and Six Gun Samurai, right?
Yeah.
Is that yeah?
But I've never mentioned before that since I am overprinting Lone Star 1 so that I can sell it with the next one, then that would be a 4th book that's available to anyone who wants to order it, and slap that in there with that combined shipping too. I just hope that doesn't eat away at anyone who wants to order it now.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I didn't mention it, but I didn't think about it. So never mind.
Well, everybody's figuring stuff out. Well, yeah, but your buying point, you're not undercutting. You're not undercutting because you're gonna have to buy this other stuff. Just make it so if you do a catch-up pack, that there's enough of a premium there. So yeah, you're doing it as a service, but it's not a
discount. No, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
The discount will be the same sort of discount I have in the first one, where you buy multiple copies, blah blah blah. So
yeah.
What about Godsword and make it a 5-pack? Godsword. See, here's the thing. I want to make sure that the books are done at the same time so I can ship them all at the same time. The artist I have for Nuclear Family, I really think he'll be able to get that book done at the same time, or in roughly the same time frame I get Lone Star 2 done. So if we get those 2 done, then I already have Six Gun Samurai done, so I can have all 3 of those at the same time and ready for this packaging. And if this one works out and is as successful as I hope it is, oh my gosh, this will be the model for me, so that I can be producing multiple books every, you know, every quarter, or however often I do this. It's probably not going to be every quarter, probably like 3 times a year.
So that would make Godsword coming out with Lone Star 3.
If I do a Lone Star 3, I'm gonna go through my story and see if I can get it done in one book.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Just in Lone Star 2.
Okay, but there's, even if you get it done in book 2, there is a potential progression about what comes next.
Yeah.
And so the name
for
that...
yeah, the third, if I got it done in book 2, then the third one would have like the trade paperback as an option.
Right.
Right. And then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The other stuff.
The continuation.
Hopefully I should have a catalog that people can order every time, so that every time that catalog may build, and the more stuff people want to buy, obviously the more it negates the shipping cost for them. Because that is a big thing that eats into everybody's budget, is the shipping. And I understand people complaining. That's why I tried to limit my shipping to $8 on the individual thing. So I'm doing everything I can think of to bring the cost down. So yeah, I'm not killing off.
Yeah. No. There's something that can potentially come after. Just try not to get into any spoiler territory.
Yeah, I mean,
there is a lot of potential for what comes next. How about that? That's not a spoiler.
Yeah,
there's a lot
what
of potential.
Comes next could come after, and it could come before.
Yeah, it sure could, couldn't it?
Yeah, I have 80 years of time to come up with stories between Lone Star getting his powers and the first Lone Star series. So, I mean, Lone Star.
I'm being real careful not to spoil anything.
Yeah.
The story has a lot of fun potential.
Yeah.
Going either way.
And what I would really like to do is get the Imaginaries off the ground too, at some point in the near future.
As a completely rebooted Imaginaries, or?
Well, the first 4 issues I'd like to have redrawn and maybe re-edited script-wise. But I already have issues 5, 6, 7, and half of 8 drawn, and a lot of it colored for the continuation with the artist I want to work with. So I'd want to have him go back and redraw 1 through 4.
Razdock says, I didn't hear what Edwin says, but Lone Star is ruined for me. I've read the treatment for Lone Star 4 or 5 times now, and I'm still looking forward to holding the comic book in my hands. So it is not going to be ruined for you. I can guarantee.
The time is near. I have 3 pages to go. So,
how much is colored now?
I've seen about 16 pages. He said he was going to deliver more pages this weekend, so we'll see how far along he's gotten. So yeah.
I wonder what Kanan White's Imaginaries would look like. I'd be interested.
No. I don't. He wouldn't fit the book.
Wouldn't fit the book?
No.
A little bit mature things.
Let me show you. Here. Let me show you the artist that I want to get, because he's already done 3 issues worth. Actually, 3.5 issues worth previously.
Ray Thulu says, Comic Book Bob, what you want and what you get are 2 different things. Get prepped for Nasser. Oh no. Nasser started after people, and he's mailing his books out. Man, that kid's a hustler.
Yes. gosh, where's the folder for this thing? Oh my love, oh my.
Hey, while you're looking for that,
Yeah.
this weekend, should we go ahead and select? Should we go ahead and select what the topic for drawn and quartered number 4 is, or should we leave it? Should we leave it for Iron Chef style, where the ingredients are announced right before the competition?
Maybe we should do that like Monday night, Aloha hour.
Because I feel like drawn and quartered is one of the best things in comics YouTube right now. And it just needs to get out to more people, just because it's an amazing idea, having like all these high caliber artists, like just 2 hours, get on it. And what
Yeah.
gets produced every time is pretty amazing. And we got that fan we've got to get in for the next show.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, John Howard. He sent me a DM, so I'll make sure to put him on follow so I can get a hold of him.
Okay, well, here's a cover mock-up. Quick look. Let me share my screen real quick. So this is the artist who has done 3.5 issues, 3.5 subsequent issues for Imaginaries. And yeah, I mean, I really, really want him to redo the first 4 issues, but that would take some funding. So
is he still a working artist?
Yeah, you'll never believe who he works for.
Who does he work for? Marvel? Does he work for Marvel comic books?
Worse.
He works for Image.
Yeah, but think of the worst person he could work for at Image.
Eric Larson.
Yep.
Seriously?
Yep. So I'd have to steal him away from Eric, which means offering him a really good page rate, which means getting a really well-funded project. Yeah, Nikos Koutsis is his name. He doesn't draw porn. That's actually. He might have colored it though. Ugh, I can imagine that. I would love to hire him away from Eric. So, if you guys think I could do that, then yeah. I think what I'd do is probably after the next one, when I have a little extra moolah in the kitty, is offer him up a great big advanced bonus check, since he did do all that other work for me. I still owe him a few $1,000s. So pay him that, and then give him a nice big fat advance, and then just steal him from Eric, because Eric's probably paying him chump change.
Yeah, I was going to say Eric's page rates may not be all that great, because Eric's only selling comic books.
Not even 4,000 copies.
No, and so that means that's $14,000 cover, but that means that Eric's only taking in probably half of that, or about 7,000.
40 or 39%.
40% of that. Well, I figure he might have a sweetheart deal though, yeah, because he's Eric Larson.
No. See, when you're a bigger publisher like that, it's the retailers that they get the sweetheart deal. So retailers get a better discount.
That's only $6,400.
Oh yeah,
he's going to cover his cost out of that.
Yeah, printing, lettering. coloring. Yeah, no, he's losing money.
So I guess maybe he's capturing it back on the trades, maybe.
Probably.
But that's only, Mike. That's not even $270 to make each page, counting printing and stuff. So
Yeah,
he can't.
money.
He can't be giving your friend for color, and he can't be paying your friend more than $60 or $70 a page. He can't be.
Yeah, I'll ask him because I'd really like to steal him from Eric.
I'd like for you to steal them too, just on general principle.
So let me see. What did the guys think in the chat about imaginaries with Nikos?
Let's see what we see. I think everybody's talking about Nasser's vacuum. Talking about that Savage, the Randy reptile is porn.
Yes, indeed.
You see, your Macintosh is about to, vanity press. So nobody was actually talking about imaginaries.
Drawn and cord, love it. Yeah, Doug wants to get in on drawn and quartered next time too.
Oh, good.
We are going to not have any room for extraneous non-artists. What is Imaginaries? The Imaginaries is a story about what happens to your imaginary friends when you grow up and stop believing in them. They go to a place called the Imagined Nation, and this story in particular is about a imaginary called Superhero G, whose creator Tanner, his parents are getting a divorce, and so he decides it's time to grow up and put away childish things. And so he rejects Superhero G. Superhero G lands in the imagination, and as a hero and one who loves Tanner, is desperate to return to his creator and try to right the wrongs, even though it's not within his power to do so. That is the Imaginaries.
Yeah, and it's got a nice look to it. I picked up issue 1 before from Comicsology, and we went through some of it. We may have to go back to that and go back to Six Gun Samurai again.
Yeah. Jim Bobo says Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. No, that actually came out after the Imaginaries did. Imaginaries first published in 2004 or 5. So, yeah, I predate Imaginary or Foster's. In fact, I was kind of irritated when that came out.
I'm probably gonna have to start getting ready to go. I wanted to ask you though.
Yeah.
So it's been 24 hours. Are you still as excited by that Dark Phoenix preview that you saw?
Oh, I haven't bothered watching it again. I'll give it a I still give it a thumbs up. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
I kind of thought about it some more. And while I like that actress in Game of Thrones, when I look at her, I just don't feel. It doesn't seem like that's Jean Grey.
Yeah, no, I agree. They only cast her because she's a redhead. But yeah, I agree.
They should get the girl from Mad Men to play Jean Grey. She's kind of easy on the eyeballs, though. She's way outside the demographic.
Yeah, we're supposed to be dealing with more the teenage X-Men at this point.
Yeah. It's not Dark Phoenix Cheesecake for Middle-Aged Men is not the title of the movie.
Well, all right.
Christine Hendricks, yeah, that's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christine.
She is a woman, indeed. So, everyone, thank you for being here. This has been the Aloha Hour, hour and a half. I am Mike Miller. Please do like and share and subscribe. Please do subscribe. So you can come back here every time I have Edwin on, or just shooting the crap. Or we have Got Mike Game of Thrones related videos, usually once a day, sometimes less. And tomorrow, then on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, we might move it to Wednesday next week. We have Drawn and Quartered, a weekly professional comic book artist competition where we all get 2 hours to draw a particular character, and then whoever wins in the following straw poll, someone in the chat wins a signed print of that very piece. So that's a lot of fun. And then tomorrow night, we're going to have The Night's Watch, a Game of Thrones roundtable featuring a couple different Game of Thrones YouTubers, Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire, and gosh darn it, I keep forgetting her name. I think it's Gray Girl. I'm not going to look it up. Another gal. I know, terrible advertising. I should have written it down in beforehand.
You're selling it, Miller.
I'm selling it. But yeah, and Yellow Flash's wife, who's a big time fan, and John Malin will be here. Edwin, I don't know if you'd be interested. It's we're doing a reread of the first episode and the first the adjoining chapters.
Oh, cool. What time are you actually gonna fire that off?
7 o'clock Pacific.
7 o'clock Pacific. I will try and join you in progress.
All righty. That sounds good. So it's going to be fun, entertaining, and lots of Game of Thronesy stuff. So please do come by, Edwin. Oh, wait. There's this thing called LoneStarComic.com.
Oh, yeah.
I do have an Indiegogo still in progress. Like I said, I'm 3 pages away from finishing it. And then after I'm ready to go to print, I will be shutting it down. So time is short for you to be able to get Lone Star from LoneStarComic.com. Please do go there, check it out. If you like it, support it. If not, tell a friend.
You buy now. You buy now.
You buy now, you go away. Don't be racist.
Oh.
Everyone is racist. All right, Edwin, get us out of here.
All right. So look, we looked at the poll. And we saw that while we have these passions, while we have some common passions of comic books, we actually have some things about us that are different. But what this tells us is that we can all come together. We can all come together under the things that unite us, right? Under the things that unite us. And we ought not to let some of these simple things be the things that divide us, right? We can choose to focus on the points of commonality we have. We can choose to focus on the goodwill that we have for each other, right? The good intentions, these positive hopes for each other, these good intentions, this goodwill, this desire to see that your fellow man do well and thrive. And then we have the time to share these common passions together. Right? It is our choice what we choose to focus on. And so that I would ask you to focus on the things that are good, that are true, and that bring joy to your life. Right? And as always, wherever you are in the world, whoever you are, again, I ask that you choose to be the best version of yourself that you can be, so that wherever you are, the world is a better place because you are there. And until we meet again, I wish you a good night and aloha.
Aloha, everyone. Lone Star Squadron, you are dismissed. Thanks for popping in, Ethan.